I personally think there needs to be two movements happening at the same time, the 4B movement and the 4Me movement. The 4B movement is for women that have prioritized and centered men and their patriarchal standard of relationships, who are man crazy or boy crazy, whatever you want to call it. The 4B movement is for those women, for women that are on the extreme end of worshiping men, and they have to completely deconstruct that. And with the 4Me movement, it's for women who've already deconstructed it, who already have prioritized their female communities, who now know how to date consciously and safely, and who don't hate men, who've gotten out of the bitter phase of the movement of centering themselves. And I think that most women already know that this world, no matter how much we can fight with men and make it it's all about us, it's not gonna work, because men exist, women exist. We can't escape men. There's just no way we could escape them. So the best thing to do is to avoid the wrong men. The second that you see that this isn't going to work out, or it's not good for your well-being, you have to hit the block button. You have to be comfortable with hitting the block button. You have to be okay with walking away and never coming back. So, like I said, I think the 4B movement is great, but that's for the women that are on the extreme end. And I think that the 4Me movement is for the women that have already figured out what is going to work for them and how they need to move when men are in the room. And not because they're centering men, but because they center themselves and they know, okay, this is gonna knock me off of my rocker. This is gonna knock me off of my healing if I do X, Y, Z because of this man being in or around me. That's it. And I understand this movement started in Korea, and that to me is a vastly different world than America, because over here there are so many things that are hypersexualized that I do believe it will be difficult for a lot of women to just it's gonna be really hard. So that's why I think the 4B movement are for women that are really legitimately sick and tired, and they don't even want to be in the same room with a guy. Whereas 4Me movement are for women that are okay with dating men. They don't mind being in the same room as them, but the second they see that the guy wants the woman to prioritize their needs, their feelings, their wants out of the connection that's happening here, she can say, no, this isn't for me. I'm gonna choose me. And I hope you find the right girl for you. And that's it. And the 4B movement is also for women that are still bitter about men. And that's okay. Everybody goes through a phase where they're super bitter about something. And in this case, it's men. And I understand that. Men have done a lot of things that have created a very unsafe environment for us. So I could understand why a lot of women are bitter. But once you get out of the bitter phase, because you're still centering their behavior in your life, then you can move on to the 4Me movement. So I'm more into the 4Me movement, but I do support the 4B movement, because sometimes you have to take extreme measures in order to finally move the fuck on with your life. So do I think that the 4B movement makes sense? Yeah, for the people who have put patriarchy on a pedestal and haven't realized how much it's messed up their lives. Yeah, those are for the people that are in the thick of it. Okay, but the 4Me movement is for the women that were able to separate and go, okay, yeah, the only person that's gonna be able to save me is me. And I kind of like that. Instead of the 4B movement, which is the only person that's gonna be able to save me is me. What? I hate this for me. And I think that that's where the 4B movement is. It's I fell into this lie and I'm gonna be the one who's gonna have to take, oh my God, that's where they are. But the others are kind of you know what, I love this for me, it's fine. But as women that are in the 4Me movement, supporting the 4B movement, we have to understand why they are in the position they're in, because we've probably been there before, and not necessarily be a sounding board, but be a safe space for them to transition to.